We at Unpoisoned America investigated some of the most popular peanut butter brands sold across America. And what we discovered completely changed the way we look at one of the country's most trusted pantry staples. The average American family goes through dozens of jars every year, believing peanut butter is one of the healthiest foods they can buy. But here's the problem. Many of the biggest brands are selling products that are no longer just peanuts. They're selling mixtures loaded with added sugars, cheap stabilizers, refined oils, excessive sodium, and marketing claims carefully designed to make processed products appear natural. Read the label. What looks like peanut butter may actually be something very different.
Now, most shoppers believe peanut butter has only one essential ingredient: peanuts. That was true decades ago. Today, many jars contain ingredient lists that continue far beyond peanuts and salt. Some manufacturers replace part of the natural peanut oils with inexpensive refined vegetable oils to improve shelf stability. Others add sugar to make the product more addictive and appealing to children. Some rely heavily on emulsifiers and stabilizers to eliminate natural oil separation. Not because it's healthier, but because consumers have been conditioned to believe separated peanut butter has somehow gone bad. You've probably bought these products hundreds of times without realizing what changed. That changes everything.
Before we begin, one important clarification. Peanut butter itself can absolutely be part of a healthy diet. Peanuts provide protein, healthy fats, fiber, vitamin E, magnesium, and several important nutrients. Our investigation is not about discouraging peanut butter. It's about exposing how some companies quietly transform a naturally simple food into a highly processed spread, while continuing to market it with images of farms, families, and wholesome nutrition. Throughout this countdown, we evaluated ingredient quality, unnecessary additives, sugar content, oil quality, transparency, overall nutritional profile, manufacturing philosophy, and value for consumers. And stay until number 1, because one brand came remarkably close to tasting like homemade peanut butter straight from freshly roasted peanuts.
Number 8. Peter Pan Creamy Peanut Butter. Peter Pan has been sitting on American grocery shelves for generations, making it one of the country's most recognizable peanut butter brands. Its nostalgic branding creates an image of tradition and family breakfasts. But here's why it begins our countdown. Turn the jar around, and you'll quickly notice that peanuts aren't the only major ingredient. Depending on the variety, you'll typically find added sugar, fully hydrogenated vegetable oils used as stabilizers, and added salt. These ingredients help create the smooth, uniform texture consumers expect, but they also move the product further away from what peanut butter naturally is. You're not simply buying ground peanuts anymore. You're buying a carefully engineered, processed spread.
Now, let's be fair. The fully hydrogenated oils used in many peanut butter products are different from the partially hydrogenated oils once associated with industrial trans fats. Modern formulations have changed considerably over the years. However, here's the real issue. If peanuts naturally contain their own healthy oils, why replace that natural characteristic with added stabilizing fats simply to create a more marketable appearance? Read the label. Natural oil separation isn't a defect. It's actually one of the strongest signs that the product hasn't been heavily modified. Consumers have been taught to fear stirring a jar for 30 seconds, while companies quietly profit by selling convenience instead of simplicity. That's marketing, not necessarily better nutrition.
Peter Pan also demonstrates another pattern we repeatedly encountered during this investigation. Marketing emphasizes protein, energy, and wholesome nutrition while drawing attention away from ingredients that simply don't need to be there. The difference between two jars may only be 3 or 4 extra ingredients, but remember this: if your family eats peanut butter every week for years, those small differences are repeated thousands of times. That's why ingredient-conscious shoppers increasingly look for products containing just peanuts, or peanuts and a small amount of salt. Simplicity matters, because every unnecessary ingredient should answer one question. Is it improving nutrition, or is it improving shelf life and corporate profits?
Number 7. Skippy Creamy Peanut Butter. This placement surprises many people because Skippy is one of America's best-selling peanut butter brands. Millions of families grew up with it, and its smooth texture has become the standard many consumers expect. But here's why popularity doesn't automatically equal quality. A typical jar contains roasted peanuts, yes, but it also commonly includes sugar, hydrogenated vegetable oils, and salt. The formula was designed to create consistency, sweetness, and long shelf life, rather than preserving the simple character of freshly ground peanuts. The result is a product that's incredibly familiar, but noticeably more processed than many shoppers realize. And that's where our investigation begins to uncover something even more concerning.
Now, here's why Skippy ranks only slightly ahead of Peter Pan. The issue isn't that it fails to provide protein or calories. Peanuts themselves are naturally rich in both. The problem is everything added around them. The extra sugar may seem insignificant on a single serving label, but peanut butter is one of those foods people rarely measure accurately. A tablespoon becomes 2, 2 become 3. Over months and years, that added sugar quietly becomes part of your daily routine. Read the label. If the natural flavor of roasted peanuts needs extra sweetness to satisfy consumers, ask yourself whether you're buying peanut butter or a dessert spread cleverly marketed as a health food.
Another concern is the continued reliance on stabilizing oils. Manufacturers often explain that these ingredients prevent messy oil separation and create a smoother texture. That's true. But here's why that explanation deserves scrutiny. Natural peanut butter separates because peanuts naturally contain oil. That's exactly what real peanuts do after being ground. The real issue is perception. Consumers have been trained to believe stirring is inconvenient, and separation means something is wrong. Companies responded by reformulating the product instead of educating shoppers. That changes everything. Convenience became a selling point, while simplicity quietly disappeared from the ingredient list. You're paying for a modified texture, not necessarily a better food. Skippy also highlights how branding shapes purchasing decisions. Bright labels, family-focused advertising, and decades of familiarity create trust long before shoppers ever read the ingredient panel. You've probably walked past the peanut butter aisle and grabbed the same blue lid without thinking twice. Most Americans have. But trust should come from transparency, not nostalgia. The healthiest peanut butter doesn't need to convince you with cartoons, mascots, or childhood memories. It lets the ingredients speak for themselves. That's why Skippy lands at number 7. It's not the worst jar on the shelf, but there are significantly cleaner options once you stop shopping with your memories and start shopping with the label.
Number 6. Jif Creamy Peanut Butter. Few brands dominate American kitchens like Jif. For decades, its slogan convinced consumers that choosy moms choose Jif, creating one of the strongest emotional connections in grocery marketing history. But here's the problem. Being America's favorite doesn't automatically make it America's best. Turn the jar around and you'll find a familiar pattern. Roasted peanuts, accompanied by sugar, fully hydrogenated vegetable oils, and salt. Again, these additions aren't there because peanuts require them. They're there because they improve consistency, reduce oil separation, and create the smooth texture consumers have come to expect. Marketing built the reputation. The ingredient list tells a more complicated story.
Now, to be fair, Jif remains a source of plant protein and healthy fats because peanuts still make up the majority of the product. That's an important distinction. Our concern isn't that Jif lacks nutritional value. It's that consumers often believe they're buying something much closer to pure peanuts than they actually are. Here's why that matters. If another brand contains only peanuts and perhaps a pinch of salt while delivering similar protein and flavor, every additional ingredient deserves justification. Read the label.
Ask why sugar is necessary. Ask why stabilizers are necessary. And ask whether convenience is worth moving further away from the food nature originally provided. Jif also demonstrates the power of marketing language. Words like creamy, natural, or fresh roasted taste create positive impressions before shoppers even examine the nutrition panel. Yet those phrases don't necessarily describe ingredient simplicity. They describe the eating experience the company wants you to imagine. That's a powerful difference. Your family deserves facts, not impressions. Peanut butter should primarily taste like roasted peanuts because roasted peanuts are exactly what it is supposed to be. When sweetness, texture modifiers, and processing begin competing with that natural flavor, you're gradually moving away from real food and toward engineered consistency. That's why Jif finishes just outside the better half of our rankings.
Number 5. Smucker's Natural Peanut Butter. At first glance, this looks like exactly what ingredient-conscious consumers have been searching for. In many varieties, the ingredient list is refreshingly short, typically just peanuts and salt. That's excellent. So why isn't it among our top recommendations? Here's why. Smucker's deserves credit for resisting unnecessary stabilizers and allowing natural oil separation, which is exactly what authentic peanut butter should do. However, consistency between product lines and consumer experience has been less impressive than some of the smaller brands we'll discuss later. Oil separation can sometimes be excessive, making mixing more difficult, and texture varies noticeably from jar to jar depending on storage and handling.
That may sound like a minor criticism, but here's why it matters. When consumers struggle with difficult mixing or inconsistent texture, many eventually return to highly processed brands simply because they're easier to use. The real issue isn't the natural separation itself. It's how well manufacturers help consumers manage it through thoughtful formulation and production quality. Smucker's deserves recognition for keeping the ingredient list remarkably clean. It proves you don't need added sugars or stabilizing oils to produce a successful peanut butter. But compared with the brands still ahead on our list, we found room for improvement in overall consistency, spreadability, and consumer experience. And from this point forward, every remaining jar impressed us in meaningful ways. Number 4. Crazy Richard's 100% Peanuts. This is where our investigation starts taking a very different direction. Crazy Richard's has built its entire identity around one simple promise: 100% peanuts and nothing else. No added sugar, no palm oil, no hydrogenated oils, no artificial preservatives, no unnecessary fillers. Just roasted peanuts ground into peanut butter. That's exactly what many health-conscious shoppers have been asking for. Read the label, and you'll immediately notice something unusual. There isn't much to read. That level of ingredient transparency deserves credit. Instead of engineering the product to match consumer expectations, the company lets peanuts behave the way peanuts naturally behave, including natural oil separation. Now, here's why Crazy Richard's doesn't finish even higher. Simplicity alone doesn't automatically create the best overall peanut butter. Because there are no stabilizers, the product requires thorough mixing after opening, and sometimes again after refrigeration. Some consumers appreciate that because it confirms the absence of unnecessary additives. Others find it inconvenient and eventually switch back to processed brands. That creates an unfortunate cycle. Companies add more ingredients because consumers demand convenience, and consumers demand convenience because they've forgotten what real peanut butter looks like. That changes everything. The inconvenience isn't evidence of lower quality. In many ways, it's evidence that the manufacturer chose authenticity over shelf appeal.
Crazy Richard's also highlights something we noticed throughout this investigation. The fewer ingredients a company uses, the fewer places there are to hide compromises. If your entire product is simply peanuts, then the quality of those peanuts becomes incredibly important. Freshness matters, roasting matters,
grinding consistency matters. There's no sugar to mask weak flavor, no added oils to change texture, no stabilizers to compensate for inconsistent production. The product succeeds or fails based almost entirely on the quality of its primary ingredient. That's exactly how real food should work. For shoppers willing to stir their peanut butter, Crazy Richard's represents one of the cleanest choices available in mainstream grocery stores.
Number 3. Teddy All-Natural Peanut Butter. While it may not enjoy the nationwide advertising budgets of larger competitors, Teddy has quietly built a loyal following among consumers who care far more about ingredient quality than flashy marketing. Its traditional formula relies primarily on roasted peanuts, with many varieties containing only a small amount of salt in addition to the peanuts themselves. That's a refreshing departure from the ingredient lists dominating much of the peanut butter aisle. There are no unnecessary sweeteners competing with the natural flavor of roasted peanuts. There are no stabilizing oils attempting to imitate freshness. The peanuts remain the star of the product, exactly where they belong.
Here's why Teddy earned one of the highest positions in our rankings. During our investigation, we repeatedly compared products based on one simple question. If you made peanut butter at home today, would your ingredient list look similar? For many popular brands, the answer was no. For Teddy, the answer was remarkably close. That matters because ingredient simplicity often reflects manufacturing philosophy. Companies committed to preserving the natural character of food tend to rely less on cosmetic improvements and more on raw ingredient quality. Read the label. When you recognize every ingredient and understand why it's there, you're making a purchase based on knowledge rather than advertising. That's exactly the habit we want consumers to develop.
Now we reach the final stage of our investigation, and here's what surprised us the most. The difference between processed peanut butter and genuinely simple peanut butter isn't just nutrition, it's trust. The brands at the bottom of this list asked consumers to trust marketing, branding, and decades of familiarity. The brands at the top asked consumers to trust the ingredient panel instead. That's a profound difference. One approach says, believe what we tell you. The other says, read the label and decide for yourself. That changes everything, because informed consumers force companies to compete on product quality instead of advertising budgets. And the final two brands represent that philosophy better than anything else we found.
Number 2. Santa Cruz Organic Peanut Butter. This brand consistently impressed us because it demonstrates that ingredient simplicity doesn't have to come at the expense of taste or quality. Many of its peanut butter varieties contain nothing more than organically grown roasted peanuts, with some versions including a small amount of salt. That's exactly what consumers should expect from a product called peanut butter. Instead of investing heavily in artificial flavor enhancement or texture modification, Santa Cruz Organic allows the natural richness of roasted peanuts to take center stage. The result is a product that tastes remarkably close to freshly ground peanuts, while avoiding the long list of unnecessary ingredients found in many mainstream competitors. That's the kind of transparency the grocery industry needs more of.
Now, here's why Santa Cruz Organics stopped just short of our number 1 position. Premium sourcing and organic certification often come with a higher price tag, placing the product outside the budget of some families. While the cleaner ingredient list justifies much of that premium, value still matters when you're shopping every week. We also found that availability varies considerably depending on where you live, making it harder for many consumers to purchase consistently. Even so, its commitment to ingredient quality, minimal processing, and transparent labeling makes it one of the strongest choices available. Read the label. When the ingredient panel is almost identical to what you'd write in your own kitchen, you're usually moving in the right direction.
Number 1. Adam's 100% Natural Peanut Butter. This was the clear winner of our investigation because it stayed remarkably close to what peanut butter was always meant to be. In its classic formulation, the ingredient list is refreshingly simple, primarily roasted peanuts, with some varieties containing only a small amount of salt. No added sugars trying to disguise the natural flavor.
No stabilizing oils replacing peanut oil. No unnecessary fillers creating the illusion of a better product. Just peanuts doing exactly what peanuts naturally do. That includes natural oil separation, something many companies have spent decades convincing consumers to fear. But here's the truth. Oil separation isn't a warning sign. It's evidence that the peanut butter hasn't been heavily engineered, simply to sit perfectly on a supermarket shelf.
Here's why Adams earned our top recommendation. Throughout this investigation, we kept returning to one question. How close is this jar to freshly ground roasted peanuts? Adams consistently came closest among the widely available brands we evaluated. It delivers the rich flavor people expect from quality peanuts without relying on unnecessary ingredients to manufacture consistency or sweetness. Does that mean every family should immediately throw away every other jar in their pantry? No. Our goal isn't to create panic. It's to encourage smarter shopping decisions. But if you're looking for a peanut butter that respects the ingredient itself, rather than trying to improve it with additives, Adams sets the benchmark. Sometimes the best innovation is resisting the urge to change what already works.
Now, here's the biggest takeaway from this investigation. The peanut butter aisle isn't really divided between expensive brands and inexpensive brands. It's divided between products that remain true to the peanut and products that gradually move further away from it. Every extra ingredient deserves a purpose. If that purpose is simply making the product sweeter, smoother, or easier to manufacture, ask yourself who truly benefits, your family or the company selling the jar. Consumers often spend years believing they're buying a simple food, when in reality, they're purchasing a carefully engineered product designed to maximize convenience and shelf appeal. That changes everything, because informed shoppers stop rewarding unnecessary complexity and start rewarding honest food.
We've seen the same pattern again and again across the grocery store. Companies begin with a wholesome food. Then come the stabilizers. Then the added sugars. Then the refined oils. Then the marketing campaign telling you those changes somehow made the product better. You've probably trusted those labels for years because they looked familiar, not because you compared the ingredients. Read the label. Don't let attractive packaging make the decision for you. Let the ingredient panel speak first. When consumers begin asking harder questions, manufacturers eventually respond with better products. Your grocery cart has more influence than you think. Every purchase tells companies what kind of food Americans are willing to accept.
At Unpoisoned America, our mission isn't to tell you what to buy. It's to help you understand what you're actually buying. The next time you reach for a jar of peanut butter, flip it over before placing it in your cart. Count the ingredients. Ask why each one is there. Compare two jars side by side instead of comparing two advertising campaigns. You don't need the loudest brand. You need the most honest one. Because when companies know consumers are reading labels instead of believing slogans, the entire industry begins to change. If this investigation helped you make a more informed decision, subscribe for more evidence-based grocery investigations. And remember, the healthiest food often has the shortest ingredient list and the longest history of being exactly what nature intended.